What would Mary Magdalene say today about decolonization and its role in women's leadership? I'm bringing back to the Magdalene interview series Sasha Ostara. We had a powerful conversation a few weeks ago, and it was like, this conversation is not complete. We need to have another interview. And so I'm bringing her back on today. And the timing is so perfect. Sasha has just launched her book, which is specifically about this. It's called The One to Remember, a field guide to somatic decolonization. And so today we're going to talk about that and the connection to the mother and how decolonization fits into that conversation, how it is a deep spiritual practice in addition to a practical, necessary human practice today. And so, Sasha, welcome back to the Magdalene interview series.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it so much and appreciate your audience and being here today to discuss these very important topics.
Great. Okay. So for those who don't know, I'm Melissa Keenan. I have created this show to widen the conversation around Mary Magdalene. So much of what has been taught and shared about Mary Magdalene has been narrow. And as we have expanded that conversation into some of her deeper spiritual gifts and things, unfortunately, what I have discovered is that we are still keeping it so narrow. And if we don't bring in conversations around things like decolonization, around race, around real human issues, we're still missing the mark. And so this is who I am. This is why we created the show. Sasha, in case somebody missed our last interview, will you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your work and just a little bit about who you are to set the stage?
Thank you so much. So I am Sasha Ostara. I am a Mexican Lebanese woman. A very you can hear all the birds here because I live in the jungle of Mexico. So this is connection to the wild in here, and I work with connecting women back to their power, back to their bodies. I am a sexuality coach and a priestess since I was 12 years old, where I started my training. And my purpose in life is pretty much reconnecting women to the goddess in action, in through our bodies, but also through these very revolutionary acts of pleasure and joy and liberation.
I love this so much, Sasha, and I'm so glad to have you on with us again today. So you have just launched your book. Tell us a little bit about, like, how does it feel to have, launched a book and, I mean, as a publisher, I know the process of, writing and the labor, and it is such a labor of love to pour your heart into something like this, and something that is speaking, pretty radically and boldly. How has this been for you?
Oh my gosh. So this was not what I was expecting, in the sense that I've been writing another book, a bigger book about all of my work put together, but it's like the medicine of decolonization just kept coming to my life. It needed to be said, it needed to be spoken about, and eventually it needed to be downloaded into a book. I realized that all these concepts that had become so familiar to me were very new to some people. And I wanted to make it simple and approachable so that people would understand these conversations, would have these conversations, all the way from the very uh, clear terminology, like what is decolonization, what are the four the four pillars of colonization, where we are standing there, what how we are how we have internalized these systems of oppression, to the goddess, to the heart of the goddess, to how this decolonization is a reconnection with the sacred heart and the unity that we are actually, all of us. That at the end of the day, the core message is coming back to our souls, to our hearts, and to that interconnection that we have as a system, as an ecosystem. So this needed to be said. This was just not stopping in my heart, in my soul, until I had to write it down.
That's amazing. That's how you really know that, and being driven by that fire too, right? So it's so enlivening. It's so, when you know it has to be written.
Yes, yes.
Mm,
It just feels overwhelming until you actually get to sit and do it, and that's how this was born.
that's amazing. Your you know, you mentioned this is new to some people like me. It's a conversation around decolonization and what is colonization and all of that. Like, could you do us the favor of sharing a little bit of that? Oh, hi, kitty.
It's my scarf. I cannot remove it because it's going to be more messy. So please bear with me. He just wants to sleep. So
Oh my gosh, so precious.
thank you. So decolonization. I love that we discuss the goddess as we discuss this because it's deeply interconnected. Because something that people don't mention enough about Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the priestesses before them, is that they were rebels to their time. They were people that would rebel against the oppressors in those times, the Romans, and before them, whoever was trying to oppress them. Priestesses and temples were the space where the real power was born, and therefore it was deeply political. We have the oracles of Delphi being the places where kings could go and generals could go and get advice. Being a priestess was a deeply political act. It was not, oh, you can just be spiritual and then don't touch the things of the Caesar, like they tell us. Things to God and to the Caesar. No, no, no. They were political rebels. They cared about the well-being of people, of the earth, of nature. They were actually caretakers in the most literal way of the word. Like they were not caretakers as in just taking care of the sick, but as in going out and reaching out to people when those that were abandoned, those that were neglected, those that others didn't care to see or to look at. That's what a priestess does. So it is deeply in alignment to work with seeing the politics of the world and connecting to spirit. We cannot do one without the other because our rights, our mere existence and the existence of the land that we are meant to protect and the existence of the people that we are meant to serve, they all depend on politics. So we need to be aware of how these systems operate in order to dissemble the oppression and to create a system that actually honors nature. And that's decolonization. It's the understanding that we have been colonized in different ways, our minds, our bodies, our rights, the way in which we exist on the land where we stand. All of that has been built around a system that is oppressing so that some get more benefits and others don't because we live in systems that function with oppression. It shouldn't be, it doesn't need to be that way, but that's the way it works. It oppresses some so that others have more.
Mhm.
And the work of a priestess is to decolonize, to say, hey, listen, this is not the natural order of life. This is not how we are meant to exist. We are meant to exist in harmony. We are meant to support one another. We are meant to be an ecosystem, not a system of oppression. So let us rebel against it. But in order to rebel, we need to understand first what is it that it's oppressing, not oppressing us, and how it works, so that we can dismantle it.
This is so powerful. I think about my own journey with this, which I know that when I speak, I center myself because that's the only experience I have to come from.
Yeah.
But it was so powerful. I mean, I come from privilege. I come from being totally asleep to oppression, I think, in many ways, except for as it related to being a woman. But even that, I was brainwashed through, many years of my life. I was like, no, patriarchy is a thing of the past. So very much asleep is where I came from. And inside of that, not recognizing that I was inside of all these systems of oppression, I was so miserable. And all the personal development world and therapy and things like this, in some ways helped me, in many ways failed me, because it always turned back to me and how I needed to just think better. I needed to improve my mindset. I needed to improve my self-care practices. I needed to do all of these things. And I mean, to the point that I was like exhausted every day, filling up my life with mindset tools and all this stuff, and still feeling this deep depression, this deep like sense of emptiness. And I don't know what to do with this. And always going back to, it must be from my traumas. There needs to be more healing work. And those things, all of the things I just listed, are not bad things. We do need those things. But when I was addressing all of that without addressing any of these oppressive systems, I was, at the end of the day, I was the problem. And that's so like gross. It's a bad feeling that leads to things like suicidal ideation, and definitely did for me. It wasn't until I started actually looking at, wait a minute, what are the systems around me that are telling me that I'm not enough, or that I need to strive more, that I'm, whatever. What are the systems around me that are like, who's benefiting from me believing these things? I never was trained to ask that question. And once I started to see it and how it was affecting me, then I was like, oh shit, like if this is affecting me on this level, how is it affecting other people from other historically marginalized, oppressed backgrounds? And is it still affecting them today? And then these light bulbs of like, yeah, it is. And, and so it's funny because the other day my teenage daughter was like, my husband and I were deep in a conversation around all this, and like huge kudos to him because he's on the journey with me. Like, so much gratitude for that. But she was like, why do you guys want to be depressed? Like, you're always, watching these movies. Right now, we're in a deep part of our deconstruction practice is watching movies about Black Americans and enslavement, and learning about, the things in history. In the past, I didn't care about history because I didn't understand. It was always still taught from this patriarchal lens of like, well, here's the things that happened, without any connection to the humans that were actually going through it and how it's affecting us today. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to learn these things. It matters. And I couldn't see how it mattered, again, from my box of privilege. And she's like, why are you doing that? And it's like, this doesn't feel depressive anymore. It feels like the more I can see ways to liberate all of those around me and really be real with the systems, the more I recognize that in this system, I still benefit. Like,
Yeah.
gain a lot from deconstructing, and so I just like so appreciate when you're bringing this in. We have seen what it looks like to approach these systems without the conversation of spirituality, and I think that's also done harm. And so
Yes.
you bringing in like the mother and the spiritual traditions that you have been raised in and carried and have been in your ancestry and all of that, it matters so much.
Yes. That's such an important piece. And I feel like this becoming aware is a very vital part of the journey, and it's painful and it's sad at first until it stops doing that and we start embracing the resilience. peace. I could see that as well when I started embracing the pain of the genocide, or the pain of because I am Lebanese. I never, but I am the granddaughter of a Lebanese man that came from Lebanon when the Ottoman Empire fell after the First War, and he was very young when he came here. When he traveled to Mexico, he was 5 years old. So he didn't really share with us what his experience was in Lebanon. And his father moved out later on, so I never really got to share with him. But now, when I started learning about the pain of the people that had to leave the Levant after the war, and then in 48 with the Nakba in Palestine, I was feeling so depressed that I didn't want to do anything, to do the work. I was feeling guilty for existing, guilty for eating something delicious, guilty for going out with people and having fun and laughing. I was like, how can I do this when there's people suffering so intensely? And then eventually I learned um, through my body first, and then through these same survivors, that we have the responsibility of hope, that hope is a discipline, that hope is embracing life and living life fully as well, that hope means seeing the pain but also learning the resilience. Like they come together, because that's the beauty of getting to see the big picture. We get to see that yes, there's pain and there's resilience, and this resilience comes with joy, comes with the remembrance of how to laugh, how to reconnect to life. I actually have a whole chapter about that in the book, and it's called it's about dancing out of pain. And something that I mentioned in the book is precisely how these groups that have suffered so much through history, people that were enslaved in Africa, from Africa, and kidnapped all over the world, people that were enslaved in Mexico and Latin America, people that were enslaved, that are still enslaved in different parts of the world, they all share something, which is the capacity to be deeply joyful, to laugh, to dance, to play, to sing. Even when we are hurting, it's from this pain that sometimes we sing, that sometimes we just bring this need to explode, and instead of breaking us down, we turn it into art, into celebration, into jokes about our own misery. Like we get to turn our pain into something beautiful, because that's how we survive, that's how we keep going. And that's resilience, and that's decolonization as well. That's going back to the way in which we connect to life, because if we understand that the goddess is life force, is that heart beating of the earth, that is just giving us life constantly, reconnecting to that life force is liberation, is that place where we cannot be controlled, because we are alive, and she is life flowing through us, flowing through our veins and our songs and our music and our movements, and the way in which we care about other creatures. That's her.
Gosh, that was beautiful. Well, for those of you who are listening in with us, just invite a deep inhale in that, and let's just breathe that in. Oh, there's so many good things that you shared in that, and that it's just got me thinking, like it's survivor's guilt in a way, um, and yet, like, I think that part of my decolonization practice has been recognize the areas of privilege that I have stepped into or been born into, that I have, and rather than feeling guilt or things about that, ask myself, how do I get to show up deeply in alignment and integrity with my values, with my core, which is absolutely, like, like you said, we are all the source, we are all connected to that mother, and use the privilege that I have to do good. And so I think that might be a good bridge into, what does this mean for women leaders? Like, um, what does it mean as, a coach, or as an executive, or in these, or even as a mother, in these different capacities that we find ourselves in leadership? Why does decolonization matter, and why does it matter to bring that into the ways that we lead in our communities and spheres?
That's such an important question, and I'm so glad that you're asking it. We just know what we have seen in the past, right? Like we usually replicate what we know, and what we have been modeled is oppression and patriarchy. And so you see many women that are leaders replicating patriarchy, just rebranding it as now I am empowered, but they are just replicating the same system of oppression. A system that it's vertical, a system that it's based on oppressing others, like I got more, you got less, you have to earn it to just look at me. Like have seen so many women that end up being just men replicating what they do, what they have been, the way we have been treated, like looking at others with disdain and just making it pink and glittery. And that's not what liberation is.
Yes.
So we need to actually understand that. That's why we need to understand how oppression works so that we break the norm, so that we break the pattern. Because yes, privilege is a responsibility. It's not an insult. It's a responsibility. It's understanding where we're standing so that we can reach out to those that are standing behind us. Right? Like it's I understand that in this space I have more privilege than those that are standing behind me. Let me bring them forth. Let me reach out to them so that they can also stand here with me, so that I can open more space for them in here. That's why it's so important to see the system and to reconnect to that innocence, because that's the thing. These systems of oppression are not natural. That's not the only way there is to exist. That's something that we have been taught with blood and with sweat. Like it's not real. If it was real, everything in nature would work that way, and it doesn't. In nature, there is cooperation. In nature, there is care. There's mutual care. In nature, there is a sense of, yeah, I get what I need to survive, and then I just let go. There's not hoarding of power. There's not hoarding of anything. There is a sense of harmony, and that's what we need to remember, because the important thing here is oppression, patriarchy. For starters, I divide oppression in four different aspects, right? One is the economic oppression, which is this hoarding of stuff. Then we have the other three kinds of oppression that are supremacy, right? Supremacy when it comes to gender, supremacy when it comes to whiteness or race or ethnicity or bodies, right? Like, oh, you have so many powerful women looking down at women that have bigger bodies, or you have so many powerful women looking down at women that are disabled, that live in disabled bodies, or so many powerful women looking down at women that are not biological women, that are trans. All of that is white supremacy in disguise. And then we have human supremacy, right? The idea that I can just abuse the resources that the earth is giving me, and nothing happens because I am superior. All of that is fake. All of that is a system that was meant to control and destroy everything in the process. but it's not sustainable. And that's the one thing that is most important to remember as leaders today. It's not sustainable. We need to create something sustainable. And the way in which the work functions in a sustainable way, it's through cooperation, re-indigenization, going back to nature. That is the way. And nature is sacred. Like that remembrance, that sanctity, that reconnection to the heart in action. Not just, oh yeah, I connect to the goddess, I'm so sacred, and then I go and explode others and look down at others. No, no, no. I connect to the goddess, therefore I see the sacred in you and in you and in it and in those beautiful fields and in that beautiful dog and in everything around me. That's where the goddess lives. That's where we connect in a way that is actually sustainable and where we can all thrive.
Thank you for sharing that. It's super beautiful, and I think that like it begs the question like, what does this look like in practice in your life? Like how um and also, is there a then right way to do this? Or is that open to interpretation? So I guess maybe that's two questions. What does this look like in your life? And and do you feel like there's a right way to live and show up?
I love it. So, starting with the first question, for me, this has been a journey of relearning because I come from a very what would be in America the conservative family,
Mm,
and I had to re-educate myself. So first of all, it looks like compassion, and that's an important piece because it's very easy to become holier than thou when we start seeing these patterns. So we need to remember that we have all internalized colonialism in one way or another. We have all internalized views that some years later we look back and realize that they were messed up, that they were not actually true. I love this theory that says that of five things that we believe today, one is wrong. And having that idea constantly reminded brings me back to humility and compassion, like understanding that I don't own the truth. I am still in process. I am still learning. I am going to make mistakes, and then I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to take responsibility for my mistakes humbly, and try to do better and do better. And that's what life looks like to me. Actually, I have made mistakes. I have caused harm as well because I am human. And then I am faced with my mistakes, and I make repairs actively. And that's the way in which I would like to invite us to live this. It's about seeing our life with humbleness, being open to seeing where we need to do better, and doing better actively, doing better in action, seeing, okay, you know what, I messed up this time. I have so many examples of times in which I said things that then I was like, oh my God, this was wrong. And I went back and not only apologized, but centered the person that I hurt in a way in which I could bring them up. Like I remember this ceremony that I guided in which I was honoring women, speaking about women and us sisters, and then I was in that causing harm actively to the trans person that was in the room.
mhm,
When I was faced with that, I didn't just go and apologize to her to them. I didn't just go and apologize to them. I also created a new ritual in which I spoke about how the soul of this of the person of people that are trans, because it's a whole journey, how they bring this tenderness, how we need to see them, how we need to honor them, how we need to celebrate them. And this person stood before me and said, this is what reparations look like, taking responsibility. And we held each other, and we hug each other. That's how we live it, taking responsibility. We don't need to be perfect. There's no such a thing. We just need to try to do better.
and keep learning, always learning. Gosh, I love that so much. And it's the I hear another thing in what you're saying. The humility piece is so important, and the other piece I heard you say is capacity to repair. Like, and I think those are skills. I really, as an intimacy coach, I've been an intimacy coach for the past 8 years. That I'm so grateful that I learned those skills early enough to then go and teach them to couples, because now I'm like, oh, this is a really broadly applicable skill that many do not know how to hold repair and how to engage in those practices. The humility thing, too, going back to that, I just watched a reel earlier today that someone had sent me, and it was like a roundtable discussion, and there were uh, and I don't even know who the people were. There were black women in the room, and there were a bunch of white men and women in the room around this table. And the black women in the room started talking about during enslavement, the horrific practice of cannibalism, and the different ways in which bodies were horribly, misused and even eaten at times, or fed to animals, or these different things. It was horrible. And I couldn't figure out in myself as I watched the video which made me more angry, because I didn't know about those things until watching this video. That fact of happening is awful. But what was even maybe worse was that the black women in the room were having to continually, they were being interrupted. They were having to continually defend and educate. And it wasn't from a place of, wait, tell me about this. I don't know about this. Tell me more. I want to understand. It was like, no, what are you saying? Because that happened to one person, and there was all of this, like, and that is like trauma upon trauma. Like, this is trauma that these women probably carry in their body from their ancestry, and now they're having to defend that it even existed. Is It's like repeating the same thing again. And I hate that for marginalized communities, that like that is the way. Like, we had to endure it, and now we also have to stand up and shout it over and over again because people aren't listening. um it's not fair, and it's not right. And I think when we're engaged in work with the sacred feminine, these need to be spaces where that is not the case.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that brings me back to the question, like how can we live this way? And yes, it is with humility, with humbleness, with openness, and also like something in action that I always tell people is start listening to voices of marginalized people actively, paying them, getting classes from them, not to teach them back, because so many people do that, right? Like that's so common in the coaching industry. They go and learn qigong from a Chinese teacher, and then they are teaching it, and it's like, no, uh, uh, just make them, bring them up instead of bringing them down. That's something that the sanctuary where I trained used to do so beautifully. We had this beautiful, powerful teacher that would have guest teachers constantly from different traditions, from different cultures. So you had the Sufi teacher, you had the Orthodox teacher, you had the African teacher. She was African. Our teacher was African actually, but she would have people from other parts in Africa, people from Latin America. So it's, you can shine and have other people, what you were saying earlier, like you want people that shine around you. That's the way to do it, to invite marginalized people. Make sure that you follow every day on social media, make sure that you on center men and white women, because white women are the closest to power. So it's not that you stop listening to white women. Of course, like many of these people that are taking awareness are white women, but it's like, stop seeing people that are look just like you and start seeing people that look differently from you, and see what they have to say, see their experiences, see how they suffer, see what they need, see them, like actually see them, not in a way that makes them look like um, like this fantastic thing, that but see them, see their pain, their struggles, and see more than one person. Don't have just your African teacher that you follow, and that's it. Like, have many people from that school of thought, from the different spiritual schools that are taking place in Africa. Listen to them. Listen to people from the different schools in Mexico. We have people from Oaxaca, from Michoacan, from different Nahua cultures, Maya cultures. See them, and in that there's the magic of actually humanizing one another, because oppression dehumanizes. Liberation goes back to seeing us as equals.
Mm. And I'll say it again, but exiting that system, it's a continual practice, I find, but it has also been so rich and rewarding. Um, I didn't know that if I really faced white supremacy and began deconstructing white supremacy, that I also was suffering inside of that system. I didn't know. And
Yes.
uh, yeah, um, it's been such an honor to have you share your thoughts. I'm so grateful for the stage of life that you are in, that you can be so prolific and have created this book and have so many cool offerings and ways that you're doing work in the world. And you're absolutely right. I'm looking at how do I build community in more and more ways? I have my books, and we have absolutely done that, where we have centered all different kinds of voices so you can get
Yes.
everybody's perspective, bunch of perspectives on a single topic, and that is so powerful. But how can we continue to do that in a deeper way and continue to elevate voices like your own,
Thank
because
you.
this perspective is so valuable and the world needs to hear it. And so but I'd love, as we wrap up today, Sasha, what tell us about, for sure we've got a link to your book. Tell us about the other offerings that you're inviting people into right now, and the work that you're doing, and we'll wrap up with that.
Thank you so much. So, yes, I am super prolific in that sense. I have so many things going up, but I will share a couple that I feel are very, very relevant. One is, of course, with the book comes a group program that I am creating for just working monthly with each chapter. Um, I am also a coach. So people that get the book are going to get the news about that eventually. I will be sharing that invitation. I am a coach. People can work with me one on one, or they can get also my tarot readings. And the thing that I get the most excited to share about is the retreat that I am hosting on October, the second week of October here in Mexico. It's a retreat to reconnect with the goddess in her different. It's 3 days because we are going to focus on the mother, the maiden, the mother, and the crone in each day, and her going back into the from the underworld in a cenote in Merida, so going all the way down in the cenote until going all the way up as the queens that she's the queen of heaven. So it's a celebration of the goddess. It's a very small container. It's meant to be up to 10 people. So if people want to join, like, please do join as soon as possible, because this is a very small container, and the idea is to just have a space in which we do ceremony, ritual, reconnect to the body, but at the same time just chill and relax a little bit, because I don't like retreats that are constantly about movement and doing a lot of things. So this is a space of soft reconnection, soft and gentle reconnection. So
No,
those are the
I
invitations.
love, love, love this retreat. I was like kicking myself that we have a family trip already planned at this time, because I'm like, okay, I need to come to this, and especially going into the caves and like the under. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so so beautiful. Don't you find like as a leader, it's like because the traditional business model tells us, you know, niche down, get really specific, don't be overcomplicated in your messaging. And it's like we're going to talk about liberation, and we're going to talk about the most heinous things that have happened on our planet, and we're also going to focus on pleasure. And I'm like, I think you just have to be like in the conversation to understand how both of those can be held in your own body, how both of those can be and almost it's like if you don't have both, you're missing the wholeness. Like one will destroy you if you don't
Yes.
also have the other. And
Yes.
as a leader, I find that very like you know, in messaging and marketing, and I'm like, I can't really put it all into this one post. Explain to you how both of these work at the same time.
Totally. And honestly, that is the Dark Mother herself. That's who she is. She gets here in Mexico, the Dark Mother. I know that we're closing, but this is something that I really want to close with.
Yes, please.
Uh, Mama Coatlicue is my mother. It's my goddess, the goddess I have been touched by since I was, I think, that 12. Or a little bit older. Mama Coatlicue is Tonatzin, or it's the Virgin of Guadalupe for some, but her sculpture in Mexico has this beautiful complexity because underground she's standing over the statue of the god of the underworld. She's like her feet are standing on the underworld, but she goes all the way up. Her snakes, her skirt is made of snakes. She has a necklace of hearts and hands, so it's action, love and action, like hands. Oh, in the Mexica culture mean action. How are you going to act this up? How you're going to serve? How you're going to actually act with your hand, with your heart on. So it's hands and hearts. And then her face is made with the divine duality of that is the creator of the whole universe, which is Omesigualt and Ometecutli, which is the two serpents that met each other, creating the one. So for me it's an important message is we get to go all the way from the underworld and see the dirtiest parts and see all the dirt, and then we have to act with love and actually act, make this an action, how to serve, and then connect with the sacred, connect with the divine. That's the whole universe in there, and that's who we follow, that's how we live life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Let's end on that note, and just thank you so much. Again, I feel so taught and so just like edified from and inspired from listening to your messages and your work, and so grateful for the way that Magdalene and Black Madonna are kind of this meeting place. That's how I see it, for all of these cultures to come together in a way that finally feels deeply respected, that finally feels very, you know, human, rooted in connection, rooted in community and collaboration, as opposed to any of the other nonsense that we've tried as humankind. And I'm so grateful that's what's brought you and I together as well. So, Sasha, thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Thank you. And thank you for listening and sharing this.
Yes. And thank you to those of you who have tuned in. We'll see you next time on the Magdalene interview series. Bye for now.
Bye.